Hi everyone, in this next video I'll be going over our next assignment, which is a subdivision plan using Surveyor units. It's a little bit of a tricky assignment, so I'm going to give you a few more days to work on it. So it's not going to be due next Monday, but I'll give you a few more days and it's going to be due November 25th of 2020. It's more of like a homework project, so that's why I'm just giving you a few more days so that you guys can actually work through it and understand it a little bit more. But the overall assignment goals for this homework project is basically after you read the instructions and follow the video, you'll be able to complete and submit a subdivision plan. You would also know the difference between surveyor units and architectural units, and you should know how to calculate the area of a plot plan. You'll be able to know how to plot on a 1 to 50 scale. And then you would also know the importance of how you need to pay attention to detail, because property lines can be miscalculated even if you're missing like the smallest increment. So you just have to make sure that you read the instructions carefully. If you have any questions, reach out to me and I can walk you through any issues that you are having. But basically pay attention to detail and make sure that you are reading the instructions carefully. That way nothing comes out miscalculated. So you will be recreating this subdivision plan, and basically these are roads that you'll be creating. So this over here, this area here with the hatch, this is all a road. So you can imagine this is a dead-end road like with a cul-de-sac. And then all of these areas with the lots and the numbers, those are property lots and subdivision lots. So basically this whole land is subdivided into these different lots where you can actually build a house or a structure. And then if you zoom in, all of these lines here are showing your angles and the distances that you need to make all of these lines based off of. And they're going to be based off coordinates and your actual north, south, east, or west directions. So I'm going to walk you through the setup of this homework project that you'll need to recreate. These are the parameters that you are going to need. So the first thing you want to do is just open up your AutoCAD and create a new ACAD drawing. Okay, so once you have your new ACAD drawing open, what you'd want to do first is just save your drawing. Just make sure that it's saved to your computer in case anything happens. And remember, when you are working in AutoCAD and once you get a few things completed, keep saving periodically. That way, in case AutoCAD crashes or something happens with your computer, you have a saved copy of the most recent work that you've done and you don't lose your whole progress. So make sure you save your drawing. I just labeled it with my last name and underscore subdivision plan. And once you save it, then we're going to change the units. So type in units. And you're just going to want to follow the instructions sheet. I split my screen so you can see it both at the same time. The first thing we're going to change is the length. We're going to change it to decimal. It should automatically just come as a default to decimal, but just change the precision to 3 decimal places instead of 4. The next thing you want to do is change the angle from decimal degrees to surveyor's units. And basically change this precision to what it matches in the instruction sheet. It should be the third one down. And I'll walk you through what this actually means. So I'll zoom in. And actually change this to look like that. I actually put the wrong one. It's actually this one. So the one that's 0D00 with the little apostrophe 00.0. So it's the fourth one down. And what this means basically is the N stands for north. So these are your directions for the first letter and this last one. So it's basically northeast. And then the first 0 represents the degrees of your angles. So the D stands for degrees, and the number before it would represent your angle. And then you have 00 for your numbers, and then this apostrophe, instead of it being feet like in the last assignment, this apostrophe actually means minutes. And then it's 0, 0.0, and then this quotation mark, instead of it being inches like in the last assignment, this means seconds. So the foot mark means minutes, and the inches mark means seconds. This is just the way that Surveyor units are read. I know it can be a little confusing, but just make sure that you understand the D is pretty explanatory for degrees. The apostrophe is for minutes, and this quotation is for seconds. And then this would represent your directional based on the compass, so north, south, east, west, your directions. So once you change the angle type to Surveyor's units and then to this precision, it should be the 1, 2, 3, 4th one down. What we're going to do is set our limits. So this is okay, press OK, and we're going to set our limits. And then the bottom limit is going to be 0, 0, the lower corner. So 0, tab 0, enter. And then we're going to specify the upper corner, which is going to be 850, 550. Enter. So now our limits should be set, and then we're going to change our line weight next, and we're going to set the units to inches. So you can do that by typing LW or L line weight or L weight, and then just make sure that our units are set to inches. The next thing we want to do is type in LT scale, and we're going to change this scale. So LT scale, and we're going to change it to 10. And then you can click enter. In my instruction sheet, for some reason when I exported from my AutoCAD, it looked perfect at like this scale, but then when I tried to export it and print it, it did not print to scale, and I had to actually change the LT scale to 0.3 in order for it to correct properly. Not sure exactly why that's happening with my AutoCAD, but if this happens with yours, you can just go back and change your scale to 0.3 if you need to adjust that. If you run into problems, you can just email me and I can walk you through it. But it should work fine, and if it doesn't, you can just change your scale to 0.3 in model space, and it should then print correctly when you export it. So then the next thing you would want to do is change all your layers, make all these layers, change the line weight, the color, line type, and this is just giving you information of what will go on each one. So you can pause the video now and just make all these layers according to the instruction sheet, and then I'll walk you through the next couple steps. Okay, so by now you should have your layers set, you should have all the parameters for your drawing set, and I just wanted to go over one quick thing when it comes to line types and line weights. When you are doing your line type, if you don't see any of these here, like in your line type window, you can just click on load, and then you can look for any line type you want to use in your drawing. And in this case we need hidden and hidden 2, so you just go down and find it here, hidden. You're going to click on it and press OK, and then it's going to load it into your drawing. Since I already have it loaded, it just popped up with that message. So that's what you're going to do to find all these other lines, you know, center, hidden, and hidden 2. And so that's how you're going to change those line types. And then for your line colors, Road Hatch has a number 253, and remember, don't select any of these colors here. 253 should be right here, this third, or third from the right, this gray color here. So that's 253 that you're going to use. All the other colors should be in your top row, and just remember, don't use any of these colors up here. Okay, so once you have all your layers complete, in the instruction sheet it shows you what all the information is going to go on each individual layer. So on the center layer, all your center lines are going to go there. On the 0 layer, your points will be on that layer. All your dimensions will be on the dims layer. Your hatch pattern is going to be on your hatch layer, all the other hatch patterns. The one road hatch is going to be on its own separate layer, which is the road hatch down here. Your north layer is going to have the north arrow that you're going to make, and then the property, all your property lines are going to go on that layer. Your scale is the graphic scale on the image. The setbacks are all your setback lines are going to go on that layer. All your text is going to go on the text layer, and then utility, all your easements are going to go on that layer. So then we're going to go into step 1. So the majority of these lines have to be drawn using polar coordinates. This means that you must enter them by typing it in like this, with the @ symbol, then distance, then with the less than bracket, and then angle. So for example, this is how you're going to enter your coordinates. Because it's in decimal feet, you won't need to type in the foot symbol, like the apostrophe, when typing in all the distances. So the first thing you'd want to do is just read through these steps. I basically just tell you the background for this whole project. So the default text style in AutoCAD is a style called Standard, which uses the Arial font. The letters are acceptable to look at, but for site drawings, we use a text that is slightly italicized. So to accomplish this, you're going to have to change your new text style, or create up a new text style in your drawing. So you're going to go back like how you did for the previous assignment, and you're going to type in style into the command prompt, and then you're going to use the name Roman S5R, or Romans 5R, and you're going to change the font to this one over here. You're going to make the height 0, the width factor 0.75, and the oblique angle at 5. So in this drawing, you will be using text heights of 3, 4, 8, and 10, which you will need to set when you are inserting the text. So the distances on this drawing are given in the nearest millionth of a foot, and the bearing angles are given to the nearest hundredth of a second. So those are like ridiculous degrees of precision, and there's no surveying equipment out there that can measure to that degree of accuracy. They are used in this drawing, however, so that everything lines up nicely when you draw your property lines. That's the only reason why you set your accuracy to this much. Even though that there's no equipment out there that can measure that accurately, when you're drawing it, it's nice that everything lines up when you're drawing the property lines, and you'll use the numbers on the drawings to draw all the lots, but you won't need to display the numbers that are on your drawing. You'll display all the distances to the nearest hundredth, like this example, and all the angles to the nearest 10 seconds, like over here. So even though your accuracy is going to be all of that, you're only going to need to display the distances to the nearest hundredth of a second. So let's start on number 4. Start the drawing by locating point A. So point A is this point over here, which is like the intersection between this road and this road. So we're going to start with that point. And so that point, the coordinates are 165 and 200. And then we're going to place a donut at this point with the inside diameter of 0 and an outside diameter of 2.0. And then points B and D are also donuts with that same dimension. So then if you go back to this, points B and D have donuts on them as well with that same dimension as A over here. So we're going to start off by drawing a point, type in point, and you're going to specify it using those coordinates that I gave in the instruction sheet, which is 165, tab 200. If you zoom out, it should be there. That should be your point. It's super small. If you want to change the points of them, remember there's that command, P-type, and then it will change your point style. If you want to make it this circle with the X around it, you can do that just so that you can see it a little bit more clearer. Maybe not as big as that though. So I just changed my PT type to 1, just so that it's a little bit bigger than the point, but not too big that it overpowers the drawing. So then going back to step 4, we're going to place a donut inside or with that point. So you're going to type in donut, and then you're going to specify the inside diameter of the donut, which is going to be 0. Press enter, and then you're going to specify the outside diameter of the donut, which is 2. And the center of the donut is going to be that point. And then there you have your donut made. So from there you can either just delete this back point there and just leave the donut, or if you would like to leave it for now, just to give you that reference, you can do that as well. Let me make my donut again, I accidentally deleted it. And so now you should have your donut on point A. Okay, so this is our first point on our survey drawing right here, point A. So then now what we're going to do is draw this first line connecting A to point B. So the way you want to make sure that you're drawing this is to turn off dynamic mode so that we are drawing everything in polar coordinates. This is important because if not, the angles might come out wrong according to the drawing. So just make sure you turn off your your dynamic mode, sorry. And so by doing that, you go down to the bottom over here. You can just click that off. So the difference is if you turn that on and make a line, it shows you those dimension like coordinates you see it following your cursor. So you just want to make sure you turn it off so that when you do draw a line, you don't have those options to put in like the distance and coordinates and stuff like that. So just make sure you turn off dynamic mode, and if you don't have dynamic mode, you can press the function key and F12 on your keyboard, or you can go to this 3 lines over here, go all the way to the top in dynamic mode. That's going to bring up this little icon where you can toggle it on and off. So just make sure that it is off so that all your lines will be accurate when you're drawing this. So we did step 4, we're going to move on to step 5, and we're going to draw that center line from point A to point B. So the way we're going to draw this is actually, this example up here is how exactly you're going to write your coordinate. So we type in line, we're going to make this our starting point, so the center of that point. Make sure it's actually the center of it, because right now it's hovering over the point in the background. So just make sure you have your line. You go to the center of the point, which is that little circle node. And now we're going to type in the command, down in the command, we're going to type it exactly how you see it on the instruction sheet down here. So we're going to type in at 212.820, the less than sign, capital N, and then 60, lowercase d, 42 with the little foot symbol, 22.0 with the little inches, but that means seconds. Remember that it means minutes and seconds. And then E at the end. So down here at the bottom you can see I wrote exactly how it looks up here. That's how you're going to be writing your distance plus the angle. So then you're going to type in enter, and it's going to draw your line to that angle. You can press escape, and then you're done with that first line, which is this one. So that's what you're going to do to draw all your lines. I give you the distances here on this line, so this distance is the 102, but then I also give you the angles here, and that's how you're going to type everything with your distance. And remember, you don't have to type in all of these 000s. You can only type in like the first 2, and then you can type in your whole angle, and you should get the angle for each of these lines. So just follow the angles that you need. They're on the sides of this drawing, and you can just follow the distances and the angles like that. So the next thing we want to do is create this next line over here from B to D, and we know that it's at a distance of 22 feet. So an easy way to do that is just offset your one line 22 feet in the upwards direction because it's going that way. So just type in 22 feet. Oops, sorry. 22. And then it's going to offset it here. You just click and you can hit escape. And then the next thing you can do is just connect that line so that it's perpendicular. So this line now is perpendicular to this one, and that is the line from point B to point D at 22 feet. And the next thing you'd want to do is just copy the node from A, and we can just copy that one over to the B endpoint. So you're just going to use the center and copy it there. I wouldn't copy it right away to this point D because you're going to need to use that as the center to make the circle for this cul-de-sac. So it's easier if you don't have the node there to make the actual circle based off of that endpoint, just so you don't get confused, and then you can copy it later on. So then now what we want to do is offset this main center line over to actually create the roads, the road edges or the perimeter of the roads over here. So we want to create this line and then this line. So we know it's offset in both directions by 26 feet. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to select it, type in offset, and then set our distance to 26 feet. And we're going to just do it to both sides like that. So that's going to be our boundaries of our roads, like here, this one and this one. And notice how that offset line actually comes all the way up here and almost meets this point in your AutoCAD drawing. When you draw the circle, you're going to just trim that line out to actually create the cul-de-sac, and you're going to actually just fillet that corner right here. So you can see this line actually goes up to over here. When you make the circle, you're just going to trim them so wherever they meet. And then you're going to add this little fillet corner right here when you're drawing the circle. So just make sure that all your objects are on the correct layers at this point. So these over here can actually go in the center line, so it's a little, it's like the dashed, longer dash, smaller dashed line, the center line of the road. Okay, so now you should, we should be on step 5. We did all of this where we drew the center line, and then at the angle, the correct angle that we used for, which is this one. So all these lines, you can see this line matches up with this line and this line, so those should have the same angles. Just make sure you are following the correct angle and using the correct distance. The next step is number 6. Use the offset command from the center line. We established those road edges, and now we're on step 7, which is point D is the center of the cul-de-sac. Line BD is perpendicular to line AB, which we created over here. And now the radius of the cul-de-sac is 48 feet. So what you're going to do is just go to the center or the circle icon here, and then you're going to choose center radius if that's not your default, and you're going to use the end here, point D, and then you're just going to use the radius of 48 feet. And there is your cul-de-sac. So once you have that circle, what you can do is trim this out, and then you'll be able to fillet it according to step 8. It's going to be at the 30 degrees over here. So what you can do is type in trim, and instead of selecting objects or selecting all, what you can do is just right click anywhere, and that's going to allow you to just trim any lines instead of going individually, like highlighting and then typing in trim, and then it only allows you to highlight whatever is or trim whatever is highlighted. You can just type in trim, enter, and just right click, and now it's going to let you trim whatever lines you need. So then now that circle should be here. This is the center, and it should be tangent to this line, so they should connect there, connect here, and what you're going to do is just fillet this, and now you can actually move that point to the end over here, the D. So now that you've got your center radius there. Just make sure that your lines here are on the correct layer. I forgot to put those. Your rows, those can go on like the property line there, the layer, just so that they're the same as the property lines themselves. So when you're doing all of your drawings, like I said, make sure you follow the correct angles with the dimensions over here, the lengths, because that's going to allow you to draw these lines at the correct angle. So for example, this line over here is 102 long with this direction here, with this southeast, but that is from here to this point over here. So when you're doing this drawing, I would recommend starting, we have the A to B and then this part done, and we just offset these lines. The next thing you'd want to do is draw this perpendicular line to the AB. That one's going to allow you to offset and make your road edges here. And then over here, if I zoom in, C1 is going to be that fillet between that one offset we made here and this offset here. And then you're just going to fillet this one according to the instructions, and I have those marked over here. You can see C1, all these curves, C10, C11 have a radius of 20, and then I marked down all the curves and what you need to fillet them by. So then you're going to do C1 to a radius of 20, and so that's going to create this little radius, and then you're going to have these end marks there. And so this distance right here, 102.0, that point right here is going to be 102 away from here, this point. So basically you're going to make this point go from this distance, 102 degrees, 102 feet, using this angle here. And make sure you puncture this angle, or put this angle in the command bar the way you see it, or else it's not going to do it right. Like how I showed you, you type in capital S 29, you see the degrees, that's going to be the D that you type in, lowercase d, then the 1738.00, the quotation marks E, and don't forget the little apostrophe there for the feet. So basically, to make this point, you would place a point on this line that you just offset 102 feet away from this point downwards, and that's going to be that starting point. So then from there you can start working your way around, creating these outlines of your overall properties first. I think that would be the easiest way to go, and then from there you can create your subdivisions from there. So hopefully this all made sense to you guys. If not, reach out to me. The overall gist of it is to just make sure you are typing in everything in the command bar the correct way, the way that I showed you for the angles, and then your distances. You can do just the standard notation, 58.000. But just this is the most important part, just making sure this angle is the correct way, and then also just make sure you're filleting these curves the correct radiuses, and just make sure that everything is on the correct layer. So start working your way around this way, and then you can go into the secondary lines. The next thing you would want to do after you're done with all of that is to fill in this lot data area. You're going to create this over here. So I'll explain how to actually put in all this data over here using the area command in a separate video, just so I don't make this one too long. But for right now, you guys can start off by drawing this lot area, and then I'll walk you through how to do your north arrow, the lot data, the legend, and the scale, down here and how to export it in the next video. But for right now, work on doing this drawing and just making sure you have all of this correct in terms of units, your scales, your angles, and all of these directions. Just make sure you pay attention close to detail so that you don't mess up on any angle, because then everything is going to be off. So let me know if you guys have any questions about drawing all of this, and then stay tuned for more videos. I'll just show you the next couple of steps. Thanks.